I had to run to see if I could make it. Something's been happening the more and more I go through this process. And it seems to be that I want to share everything with whoever's around me and is willing to share their experience, even of my sharing with them, with me. Or not. It's just more harmonized that way. Even this orange. That I'm going to eat, and the sun's pretty much close to the gaze angle, although it's very high at the moment. But it will most likely go down below the tree line and will be obscured. You can see it actually in motion now because it's on just the right angle against the horizon. You can see the motion. I want to share everything. I want to share the truth, friendship, and experience. I find it very difficult where I am now to do that. I remember being young and having a problem with that. Sometimes I would give away half my lunch at school or something and then be hungry for the rest of the day. And early on I would feel like a dummy. And really I never felt like a dummy. Like, I'm just saying that. Because I would go, shoot, well now I'm hungry. And then I would instantly go, I would feel like smirkishly stupid, kind of. But there was an overwhelming sense of peace and happiness that, for possibly the first time in a person's life, especially as a young person, a child, that the sadness or loss, whatever it is actually for someone else's gain. And that is the true work. If you work at a store at the age of 12, you're not doing the same amount of work as if you had a stomachache, or not really a stomachache, but if you were desiring more food for yourself because you gave away half your lunch. That is work. And there was an overwhelming sense of peace and an abundance of joy and compassion for being able to help someone else. And I would go, oh, this is what it feels like to be a good person. I would sometimes feel annoyed if the person didn't understand that, but as I grew older I understood that not everyone has somebody like that, and for the first time, if that happens, they don't understand what it means. That it's love that drives that to be, and if a person ever disregards love, then it never really gives respect that is deserved. And I learned that early on. And it's interesting because, you see, I'm outside this fence which encases this grid-marked asphalt of an artificial matrix which is designed to carry the vehicles of those enrolled in this indoctrination system. I'm outside, I'm on the grass, looking in, peering across at the sun above, the source, the light, the truth, the reason, the source of compassion for all. Without that, none of us would be here, none of this would be here. And so, from what we've learned, that is a collection of the collective soul of humanity. That is the shining heart of this world. And so, I learned that the desires we have feed the body and give us temporary physical pleasure. But that pleasure does not feed or nurture the mind, and in this sense the soul, the higher mind. It doesn't. It feeds the body. For feeding the mind there has to be reason and an intention behind one's action that encapsulates or transfers or is the result of the acceptance of the motivation by and for and of and through something beyond the physical self. when free will is activated, when one's intentions are, or their intent is brought into this world in that sense of perspective or self beyond the physical, only then is there peace of mind. Only then. And I learned this very early on. And, it's like a war to live in that way, because everyone tells you otherwise, and that's because this world is largely an illusion. This world is the artificial. It mimics the real. It mimics the soul. It mimics everything that is true. And there is truth here, but there is filler, necessary filler, to enable a variation in experience, and that filler has been leaned towards a predominance of negativity. And so it's a hijacked game system, if you will. In that sense, the desires of the body, the flesh body, are the illusion. They are that of the mind of the matrix within you, filling you with its mind, with an artificial mind, with an imposter which seeks to activate your intent and the potential of your mind to carry out the fulfillment of the continuation of that matrix system of the illusion. And you become that if you allow that. The idea is the body desires, the mind seeks. It seeks change. It seeks fulfillment through that intent, that actualization of intent wrapped in, worn by, expressed through the knowledge of the self beyond the physical. So now, the energy centers, like the scene in the Matrix, where the individuals are unplugged and the tubes fly out down the spine, the energy centers are the plug into this artificial matrix system.
I want to interject here that I'm not really saying anything other than what I just proposed. And basically, as far as solutions, people, closing them out, opening them up, whatever it is, the only thing I will say for that now is that the energy centers open only on the low level. It's detrimental to spiritual development, and the energy centers potentially opened on a higher level at least brings about more awareness. And there is a theory and the possibility that closing them out is appropriate, and that the higher levels, specifically the pineal gland, is used for mind entrainment within the matrix system, and it's literally the entrainment beacon, just as the lower levels are, but this time for the higher area of more advanced consciousness, and in that sense, the pure awareness or spiritual awareness. In that sense, the whole higher biology of the brain and the neurochemistry is just as much is ensnared through that system, or that biology is an ensnarement for the higher spiritual awareness and power in that. And in that view, the energy centers are kind of trapped. I'm not really saying either way, but that's the information that's out here.
They're at a variation, a decline, a distance, or a differential of the mind and the body. That differential is what is an excess of energy that leaks out of the physical form. When there's the body cannot handle the whole soul or the mind. It's impossible. This whole world can't. So the energy centers bleed off the energy of the mind, the higher self, through the body. When that differential is resolved, and there is only a harmonization, a pure superconductive effect from one to the next, there is no longer a flowering, a bleeding out of energy, which is the system uses to incorporate its mind into the individual. These orgies and rituals and defilement, depravity, hatred, lust, greed, envy, all of that, pleasure of the most physical kind, and pleasure of the mind kind, but on the lower aspect of greed and hate and punishment and stuff like that, hurting people. That is the system utilizing us as its own agents of change to actually stop true change and introduce a convoluted, repetitive cycle wherein ourselves and those around us become prisoners of our own mind. That is the false reality construct. It utilizes the energy centers. It utilizes situations and scenarios that it can get us to enact for ourselves, whereby our energy amplifies to a maximal degree and then leaks out of our body. The mind must engage in order to feed energy into the body, where the body then feels a resonation of energy, pleasure, and it continues the activity or action which leads to a furthering or a continuation of the same process. And the whole process repeats itself because eventually the mind is drained and the body is basically satiated, and as well these other entities then will attach. They will attach to the body, and the whole process is like a big Ouroboros from the highest realm to the physical into the demiurgic realm of these fallen entities. They never left this plane, and they probably can't leave. And so that's their game. That's their indoctrination system. We are originally from outside the limit, the outer boundary, the fence, the matrix. And to find that, to know that, do good for others in ways that don't necessarily feed back into your physical or personal, even mental, personal system, pleasure system. Even the pleasure feedback response of the mind, even if, well, I made my mind good, I didn't make food or get anything out of the deal or anything like that, I just profited in a way where, oh, now I have credit of doing this production or whatever it is. That is still, in a way, a form of greed, which, in that is based upon products. It's based upon changes in this material world. It's not change that is only the result of someone's soul and spirit being nurtured and enhanced and nourished. When that is the only change, then there is no personal gain. It is all direct to what you could say source, or the spirit of humanity and the world. It's crazy because inside, I'll talk for an hour, it'll feel like 10 minutes. Outside, I'll talk for 10 minutes and it'll feel like an hour. It's very interesting. It's like an eternity. Think of that. Time slows on the parabola bends. Time slow. It's as if time slows in the morning and the evening because the sun is at an angle. That's what I'm trying to cough out here. And this is, maybe there's something similar to that taking place in the universe, in the life in general. Thank you for those who listened, and anyone else who's looking for information and looking to assist in, the health of something like this orange who literally has no flaws. Might not be perfect, but it's perfectly imperfect. And as long as we're happy and seeking that, ye are gods. And that is beautiful. And it's truly, everyone knows that. It's only when people get caught up in this addiction, warfare, drugs, or sex, or murder, or whatever that is, that the simple pleasures are now no longer simple pleasures. Which is perfect. Because why would it be different? Then it would be a free-for-all. It's not a free-for-all. It's perfect. Here come the chemtrails that are activated through the certain frequency of the pink hue of the light. But I didn't just say that. Thank you. Oh yes, like someone was saying, feel appreciation, extend that to the world and to your food. Your consciousness will meet with the plant life, and it will appreciate you back. Don't ask me how it works. That's how it works. Just think of him, for her, whatever, as a friend who came here for someone, and since you're here now with your meal, which is a living being, a one, just like you, then now you're both friends. The inversion of that is the stuff that Jay Parker talks about, ritual murder, and being happy to see that. And, oh, joy, we're so happy to do that. That's the inversion. It's a beautiful little fruit. I take the skin to put it somewhere where it'll biodegrade and feed other versions. And the seeds are the same. You can take those and plant them. Won't grow very well around here, so that might not be too beneficial, but you can do things with them. This makes me think back to, not many people will hear this because I'm just going to leave this video unedited. Maybe I'll put a little note. It makes me think back to the video in the woods about the global mind and how that was during the setting sun, and I filmed until darkness and then enhanced the video afterwards and brought the light back out, which was pretty interesting. So much has changed, and yet really nothing has. But there is strength in that. This whole place is for you to love. Of course, there's always loss. There's always pain. It's a given. You're a child of the truth to know that. And to know that that doesn't make the pain, that doesn't make the joy, the love, the experience worthless. It makes it what it is. And that's the truth. It's a more accurate view of the light level. Probably should have done that at first. Strawberry fields forever? Not sure what that means. Artificial lights on. Maybe it's time to go. Thank you. Enjoy. So here's a thought. If I have to stop from going through that path because now the ticks are coming out, I didn't want to go on the artificial path over there. It's like stagnant energy from all the questionable kids. You can call them that. This mentality is different, and but yet the path with the greens, in the woods, I don't know what I'm saying here, is dangerous because there are parasites that feed on us, and anything that feeds on you, you can remove. That's not tearing down forest and doing stuff like that. I mean, don't tear down the forest. But if a tick is trying to bite you, you can remove him. And so then, if the path is artificial, does that mean we're artificial? Are we the remnants of an experiment? Or is it just that we need to stay in beneficial areas that are safer? You know, where does it really come together? And as well, does it mean that those tribal people who are in the woods living, battling with nature, they are forgotten brothers and sisters, lost in space-time, left behind? Are we supposed to rescue them? Or are we the artificial ones, trying to live with lawnmowers and such? Meanwhile, if this grass wasn't mowed, I probably wouldn't be able to walk through it, without being infected by disease-carrying ticks. So these are some questions. Of course, the path does take me back right back onto the artificial. Something's happening. Something's not exactly as we're being told. We'll see.